and welcome to the 5th episode of the HERBGARDEN Knitwear podcast. My name is Hanna, I'm located in northern Germany, and this is a podcast about knitting. I am a knitter and a knitwear designer, and usually I share what I'm currently working on, the patterns that I'm working on, but also the knitting projects that I'm working on. I usually talk a little bit about the test knits that are currently taking place, and just share in general everything that is new here behind the scenes. You might have noticed that this episode comes a little bit delayed, and I would like to explain a little bit why that is. The first reason is just a technical one. I have issues editing these episodes with my computer. My episodes are quite a bit shorter than the usual knitting podcast. They are usually something between 30 and 55 minutes. And still, my computer is so old that it takes me hours and hours to edit this. For one episode, it's something between 4 and 8 hours of editing, because whenever I want to change something and make the tiniest change, or insert a new clip or something, I have to wait and wait for the video to be buffering. And my computer is just not capable of doing it at all. So to be honest, this is very annoying and stressful for me, and that is why I have been putting it off a little bit to record another episode. But I have great news. You don't have to fear. This podcast will definitely continue. I have ordered a new computer that will hopefully arrive in about 4 to 6 weeks. And for this episode, I still will go through the process of editing in this long and painful way. But in the future, hopefully, the new computer will make it much easier for me. So keep your fingers crossed that is going to work out, and that will be hopefully much easier then. So the second reason why I could not record an episode earlier was because I was 2 weekends away from home. So one weekend I spent with some friends from school at the Baltic Sea, which was absolutely lovely. We had actually planned that trip in 2019, but then COVID hit and it had to be delayed over and over again, postponed. And this year we finally were able to spend some time there, and then I spent another weekend in Frankfurt, and that was lovely too. I once lived in the center of Germany, just an hour away from Frankfurt, and it was so nice to be back, and maybe I have some footage of that too for you at the end. And the final reason why I did not record an episode sooner is because my knitting mojo actually is totally weird right now. It's kind of gone. I finished the hat that I casted on in the last episode that I already showed you. It is this very squishy, lovely textured cable hat. I will try to put it on for you. It is the very first very hot day where I live, so I'm not wearing any knitwear right now. So let's see if I can for a second put on this hat, which is kind of funny with this summer dress. But here we are. I finished the hat, and I really like it a lot. It's super warm, super squishy, and I really love the cable pattern. But I will take it off just a second, because it's not possible to wear hats right now. But look at the lovely texture here. It is made from the unspun 2104 from Rain, Cloud and Sage, which is still available in their shop. By the way, I think I have never mentioned this before. Whatever I show you in this podcast, not only in this episode, but also in the past episodes, nothing of that is sponsored in any way. Everything I bought myself, and I would definitely let you know should that change in the future. But whenever I show you yarn or projects or whatever I show you, I always paid for all that myself. So this hat pattern, this hat and both the hat and the pattern are actually ready. I wrote down the pattern. I'm not quite sure right now. I guess it has about 5 sizes or something, but I decided not to call for the test knitters right now because it is getting summer in this hemisphere, and I did a little poll on Instagram, and many of you said that they would not want to knit such a warm winter hat in this season. So I think maybe we can start the test knit for this somewhere around the end of August or something like that. So if you're interested in test knitting this pattern, you can follow me on Instagram if you want to. There I'm also HERBGARDEN Knitwear, and I will announce when I call for testers for this hat over on Instagram, so you will be updated if you follow me there. Yeah, so, and after I finished this hat, which I think went very well, I cast on a new project. And this is kind of where my knitting mojo left me. I cast on a new project with knitting for olive merino. In the colorway 91817. And yeah, what shall I say? What can I say? This project just kind of went wrong. I feel like I frogged more than I actually knit. So I started off with a very long strip of a beautiful lace pattern, and my intention originally was to have this lace strip around the yoke in a circular yoke. And then when I blocked it, I was not quite sure if maybe I made it quite a bit too long. And this might be something that comes very unexpected to you, but when I design, I do start with an idea in mind. But with this idea in mind, I kind of just go with the original idea and then change it along the way, just like some people doodle with a pen while they're on the telephone. So it kind of changes during the time that I knit, and usually that works out fine. But with this project, it really didn't, and that was because my plan was not as detailed enough as I would have needed it to be in order for this to succeed. So I show you what I have so far, but at this point I am pretty sure I'm going to frog this because it's just not working out the way that I wanted to. So this is the lace that I was talking about, which I still very like, and I might cast this on in the future again, just with a little more planning ahead maybe. So the idea was to have like a V-neck here. It's hard to see as the cord is still in there, but maybe you can see it a little bit. And then the V-neck, and then the lace strip, and then I wanted to have a stockinette part with a little bit of little sections where I highly increase, so that it's not actually a ruffle, but where well, as you can see, I cannot even describe the plan I had. So this really does not seem to work out right now, and to be honest, I just lost the joy in working on this. I have frogged at least 1.5 skeins of this yarn, and as you can see, it is quite a fine yarn, and well, I'm just not feeling it right now. But before I frog it, I wanted to have a new idea on what I want to start next. And I made another swatch with the same yarn, and I'm so happy that I did, because I really think this is beautiful, very beautiful. I decided to use the yarn, or dry the yarn, with half fisherman's rib. And this swatch is just so nice and drapey. I hope you can see this. It's just, the fabric is just divine, and I really love the texture. I asked you guys on Instagram whether you prefer this side. Let's just call it side 1, because there also was quite a bit of a discussion whether this is the right side or this is the right side. So let's call this side 2, and I would love to hear from everyone who sees this swatch for the first time now. Do you like side 2 better, and do you think this is the right side? Or do you like side 1 better, and do you think this is the right side? So this is super interesting for me, because I really love both sides. I can hardly decide which one I prefer, but most of you on Instagram said that this side was the one that you preferred, and I'd really love to hear everyone's opinion. So if you want to leave a comment, tell me which side do you like more. So I think I will frog what I have so far and start a new project in half fisherman's rib. I'm not sure if I want it to be a cardigan or a sweater, and I'm not quite sure if I have quite enough yarn. This has 250 meters per 50 grams. And I think I have 5 or 6 of these, and for a normal sweater that should be enough, but I'm not sure if it is also enough if I work half fisherman's rib, because with the yarn overs in it, you need quite a bit more yarn, which is also the reason why I chose to work half fisherman's rib, because if I would go to work full normal fisherman's rib or brioche, then I would need even more yarn. So I really like how this turned out. It's much lighter than regular brioche stitch. So this is kind of my plan for a new project, but as you can see, it is just a very new plan and not very detailed yet. So I think I will go in this direction. Yeah, so, and that is actually everything knitting wise that I have done in the past weeks. As I said, my mojo was totally gone. The project that I worked on didn't work out at all. I frogged and frogged more than I knitted, and I kind of had to set it aside for a little while. I also felt like lately I was putting quite a bit of pressure on myself to do everything that has to be done if you want to release knitting patterns. So regarding pattern writing, I'm still working on this red sweater over there. I called it Reina sweater, and there are 2 reasons why it is taking me so long to get this pattern out for testing. The first reason is that I want to add even more sizes than the usual 10 sizes that I offer in my sweater patterns. So I really want this pattern to be very size inclusive. I'm not sure how many sizes there will be in the end yet, because the pattern is not completely done yet. I wrote it up until the point where you separate for body and sleeves, and I will not make any any promises before the pattern went into tag editing, because I really want my tag editor Frauke to check all the sizes and tell me that the grading is good and that the sweater will fit as I expect it to fit. And only afterwards I will tell you how many sizes there will definitely be, but I aim for more than 10 sizes. So that is something that takes a lot of time. And I'm not sure, I think most people are not aware that adding an additional size to a sweater pattern is not always the same amount of work. So the very small and the very large sizes take significantly more work than the sizes in the middle of the size range. So I know that many other designers only offer 5 to 8 sizes, and to be honest, I totally understand, because the very small and the very large sizes do take so much time to grade and to make them really fit that one could argue that it is not sustainable for a small knitwear designer like I am to offer so many sizes, because, as I said, we do not need the same amount of time for every size. So if I would only offer like 5 sizes, then I would not need half the time that I need to grade 10 sizes, but more likely a third of it or even less, because the sizes in the middle of the size range are so much easier to grade. So just to make this more transparent, because I can imagine that if you have never actually graded a sweater, then this is something that would not come to your mind, that the larger sizes and the very small sizes take quite a bit of effort. So yeah, just as a little side note. Yeah, so this is why, the first reason why this is taking me so long. I think this sweater seems to be loved by many people, so I really want many people to be able to knit from the pattern when it is ready. This is why I really want to offer such a huge size range. I will probably not be able to do that for every design. Usually I'm offering 10 sizes, but for this design I really wanted to try, because I have a feeling that you guys, hopefully, fingers crossed, will love this sweater, and I really want many people to be able to knit from the pattern. And the second reason why the pattern writing process takes me so long right now is, to be honest, because I was a little frustrated with my whole knitwear business in the past weeks a little bit. How can I try to explain this? Well, one thing is I usually knit much faster than I am able to write the patterns, just because I can do all this, like the grading, the pattern writing, all that, only after I'm done with work in my free time. And it requires of me to sit in front of the computer working with Excel sheets and stuff like that. And my job is, my actual day job is being a software developer. So I do spend every day in front of the computer anyway. And it is very hard for me sometimes to be done with work and not turn off the computer and enjoy my free time, but turn on another computer and doing computer work again. So don't get me wrong, I love designing. I've been doing this for almost three years now, and I would never not do it. But lately, I guess I have put too much pressure on myself, because as I knit much faster than I am able to write the patterns, I have now some designs stacked up that still need to be graded, and that I still need to write the pattern for. So I feel like I myself produce like this mountain of work in front of me by working one design after the other. And I realized that is not how this is supposed to go. So this is why I, since this project didn't go well anyways, I decided to take a break from knitting in the past weeks, and I decided to go back to something that I didn't do in a very long time, many years. I decided to get out my sewing machine. I was a little bit inspired because many other knitters started sewing or sew in general. So in many other knitting podcasts I saw sewing content, and I really enjoy that. And the fun thing is I often get asked how I design and how I got into it and everything. And the funny thing is that I learned sewing much earlier than I learned to knit. So when I was a child, I learned to sew from my mother. We sat at the kitchen table and I was sewing all kinds of things, little dresses for my Barbie dolls and everything. And at that age, I did not have the patience to knit at all. So I had my own sewing machine for many years before I even started knitting. And I think when I look back that this order had the advantage for me that I had known from sewing how the shape of the pieces of a garment would look, because I had cut them out and had used the fabric. So I think that helped me in knitting later to make things fit very well, because I knew how the different sizes of a sewing pattern looked on paper, and that helped me in my mind to imagine how I need to construct sweaters when I'm knitting. So this is something that really helped me. And now that I kind of lost my knitting mojo and was kind of frustrated with everything, I thought, let's get back to the roots and back to something that I really enjoyed in the past. And I decided to sew myself a dress, which I really did not do for like the past 10 to 15 years, so in a very long time. And it was really fun to get back into sewing again. And I will show you what I made. So in case you're not interested in sewing, just skip ahead. I will put timestamps in the video. You can just skip ahead to the next segment. But this is the pattern I decided to make. And I made the blue version, the longer version with the ruffle. And this is actually what I'm wearing today. So even though you might not have known it in the beginning, I am actually wearing a finished object, even though it is not knitting. And that is also because it is just way too warm to wear knitwear today. But I made a dress, and I will try to insert some footage here for you to enjoy. And I'm really happy with how this went. Now that I've sewn the dress and it is ready, I'm happy that I did it, but now I am very eager to get back into knitting, which is exactly what I hoped would happen. So this was a total success. I have a beautiful new dress, and now I really want to get out my knitting needles again, and I hope that now my mojo will get back, and I'm excited to work something in whatever this is going to be. Yes, so what else? Well, I have another little update. This is the pattern that is currently in the testing phase, and the test will be over in, I think, about a week or so, and that means that this pattern will soon be released. So if you're interested in that, this is the Sunkissed Sea Tee, and I will keep you updated as always on Instagram, and I think the release might be in the first week of July, or maybe the second, we'll see. So this is something you can keep your eyes out for. And then there some news about my Feldspar Tee. This pattern is available right now in the pattern collection Quick and Easy Knits number 2 from Interweave. This was my very first design that was published in a magazine, and it's still something that I'm very proud and excited about. And this collection was released tomorrow a year ago. So if I'm not mistaken, then I will regain the rights to sell this pattern myself after 1 year has passed. So in the next few days, I will have to verify that. I will talk to my contact there, and I think then I will be able to sell this pattern myself again. And I decided to upgrade this pattern as it has been so popular, and I added new sizes to this pattern and also a segment where I explain how you can make alterations, how you could figure out how to combine another sleeve size with a different body size. So if you want to make one size for the body but the sleeve size does not fit you, then I have included into the updated pattern how you can calculate the amount of stitches you need to work on the back and the front panel in order to fit in a different sleeve with a different circumference, so that you can really make this tee fit you in a perfect way. And so there will be additional sizes and instructions on how you can modify it. And as soon as I have the okay to release it, then I will put it up on Ravelry and on my website. So if you're interested in knitting this tee, then hopefully very soon, like maybe in the next week or so, I will be, if everything, at least if everything goes well and if I understood my rights correctly, but in that case, you will be able to get this pattern in quite a bigger size range than it is currently available. So here it is. Like, this was my original sample, and then later on I made another one in black, which, yeah, I expected that you can probably not see it at all, but I really love the eyelets here. And if you have this section, this is like the sleeve here, if you have this on your shoulder, it looks just really pretty. Maybe I can try to insert a picture here, maybe. Yes, so this is really one of my absolute favorite designs, and I know that many of you really love my Seaborn tee, and don't get me wrong, I really love the Seaborn tee too, but I really prefer this one even more. So I'm very excited to be able to put this up into my Ravelry store, hopefully soon. Yes, so I guess this is everything about knitting and this. Oh no, I have actually an acquisition. When I was in Frankfurt, I couldn't hold myself back and I bought some yarn, and this is it. I bought Rowan Felted Tweed in this lovely light blue color. Let me see. It is color 173. Can you see that? Yeah. And I really love tweedy yarns. This lovely, I love both the feel of it and those lovely speckles. It's not, how do you, this is something, please help me out. How do you call this in English, like for a tweed yarn? Those are not actually speckles as an indie dyer would dye speckles, like by sprinkling color, but it's more like little bits and pieces of yarns of different colors that are chopped off and spun into the yarn. So how do you call this? Are those speckles too, or is it something different? I would really like to know. So yes, I bought rowan felted tweed, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure yet what this will become. I'm very torn. I usually only knit about one item from a pattern from another designer each year, not because I would not want to knit more. There are thousands of patterns out there that I would love to knit, but I just don't have the time at all. And I also always feel like, you all know that yarn can be very expensive, and I'm really hesitant always, if I have new yarn, to not use it for my knitting design business, because I always feel that I really want to make the most of the money that I spend. But I also have had I think it's the winter beach cardi or something. I put a picture here. It's a pattern from Andrea Murray, and I know that many of the people who knit it used rowan felted tweed for it, so this yarn would be perfect for that cardigan. And now I'm not quite sure if I can get myself to just use this yarn for my own fun and pleasure, which I'm very bad at, or if I want to keep it and maybe design a beautiful cable sweater once fall is here. So I'm not quite sure what the purpose of this yarn will be yet, but I really love it, and I'm sure in the end it will be something beautiful. Yes, so let's get to the informational segment of this episode. In the comments of one of the past episodes, I was asked to talk about different needles and which projects they are suited for, and this is what we will talk about today. If you have a suggestion about some knitting topic that you would like me to address in the future, you can just tell me in the comments, and I'll be happy to read them and see what you would like to hear in the future. So I know there are many different needles out there, and I can see that this might be confusing. Which needles should you choose? Some needles are really expensive, and I will try to sum this up a little bit for you. So you might be surprised to hear that even though I have knit for many years, I only have one single needle set and nothing else. So I use wooden needles for all my projects. This is my set. It is not very fancy or anything, but I can carry it with me very easily when I travel. And the only difference in needles that I have is the tip of the length of the needle tip. So I have some needle sizes in long and some needle sizes in short, and that is mainly because when I bought the set is the long ones. When I bought that, I did not know that there also were shorter tips. So this is the first thing that might be something you want to look out for. There are longer tips and shorter tips. And which one you prefer is kind of just a matter of personal taste. I like the short needle tips very much because they make it easier for me for small circumferences. I really love to use them for hats, but also for the sleeves. They are not so short that I can knit a sleeve without using magic loop, but that is totally fine for me. So what I wanted to say is I do not switch needles, like the needle material or the shape of the sharpness, like how sharp the tip is. That really, for me, that is not important at all. I know that there are many knitters out there who say they really prefer this kind of needles for this project. I always feel that once you found the needles that really work for you, you can knit everything with those needles. So if you are a beginner knitter, my first suggestion would be that you do not buy a whole set as your very first needles, but just buy one single needle when you buy the very first one, because then you can try if that needle works for you, and if it does and you have used it for quite a bit of time, then go straight ahead and buy the whole set, because then you will love the same needle in every size. And if you did not quite like it, or just want to experiment with a different needle, buy another one, like a single one. And as soon as you have found the one that you really love, then just go for the whole set. And then, in my opinion, you will never have to buy any other set anymore. So yes, but this, of course, as always, this is just my personal opinion, and I know that many other knitters will definitely not agree, and that's fine. So in general, what can we say? So needles made from wood or bamboo are usually not as slippery as needles made from metal or plastic. So most people would agree that if you are a beginner knitter and you fear that your stitches will drop off your needle without you wanting that they are dropping, then you should go for wooden or bamboo needles. Many experienced knitters feel like when once they have gotten into the rhythm of knitting and they want to increase the speed, they switch to metal needles, because many knitters feel that the slipperiness, what's the word? That's not the word, right? Like the way that the stitches slip upon metal needles makes their knitting faster. So for me, I would consider myself like, I don't know, can you say an experienced? Well, I've been knitting for years, so I still feel I can knit pretty fast on my wooden needles, and I really like to carry my knitting with me around everywhere, so I still like that on the wooden needles the stitches are not lost super fast when I have the knitting project scrunched up in a bag or something. So yeah, I really love wooden needles, but if you feel like you have been knitting for quite some time and you want to increase your speed, then you might want to try metal needles. The same goes for different yarn types. So if you are knitting with a woolen yarn, then some people find that the stitches really don't move as quickly on the needles, and they want to use metal needles for that. Or the other way around, if you are working with a yarn that is rather slippery in itself, that most people would say that plant-based fibers like cotton and linen are, and some people would also say, like, if you are working with a single strand of silk mohair, then if you feel like those stitches are moving around too quickly, then you might want to use wooden needles instead of metal needles. But it is as it always is, like, for different people have different preferences here, and there's really no right or wrong. So you can just experiment and see what needles are the best for you personally. Yeah, so what else did I wanted to say about this? Regarding the discussion of straight needles versus circular needles, this whole talk really is personal preference. So I work everything, no matter if I work in the round or if I work flat, I work everything on circular needles, because I feel like if the the project that I'm actually knitting on is not sitting at the end of a straight needle, then but is rather distributed around the cord of the circular needle, then this is much easier on my wrists, because the weight of the whole project is not at the end here, which if you imagine like having like a long straight needle here and everything at the end of the round is sitting right here, then every motion I make here is very heavy, whereas if the whole thing is on the cord of the circular needle, then it is kind of distributed between my both of my hands, and that makes it quite a bit easier for me to knit, and is better for my wrists. But again, it really doesn't matter. If you prefer straight needles, go ahead. One thing that I think is quite difficult for beginner knitters when it comes to circular needles is that how do you determine the length of the cord? Well, basically it's very, very easy. The cord should always be quite a bit smaller than the circumference or the length of what you are actually knitting. As soon as the cord gets longer or wider than what you're knitting, the stitches will not slip anymore from one end to the other, which makes it very hard to knit. So just make sure that the cord of the circular needle is quite a bit smaller in circumference as the object that you are actually knitting. Then there can be differences in how the needles are really shaped. Like the very tip of the needle can be rather sharp, or what's the difference? The opposite, is it blunt? I don't know. Like if it's not sharp, and this is also something that you might like or not, depending on your preferences. So some people say like a very sharp tip helps you to insert the needle into the stitch perfectly, and I have heard other knitters say that they feel like with a very sharp tip they tend to split the yarn instead of grabbing the stitch. So this is also something that you just should try out yourself, which one you prefer. Then there are round, like the usual needles are round like this one, but there are also like square shaped needles. Like if you would cut them, then you would have like a little square, like a dice or something. And some people feel that that shape is easier on their hands. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that there really is no right or wrong here. I feel like it has become very popular to have many needle cases and sizes and everything like that. And if you're into that, that's totally fine. Like get your collection of needles and love them as much as you will. But if you feel overwhelmed by that, then I can reassure you that it is absolutely not necessary at all. Just find one needle that you like, test it if you meet with other knitter friends, or maybe in some yarn stores you can ask around there if they have recommendations, and then just try out those needles, and if you have found one that you like, just go with it. And I really don't feel like I need anything else than the one set that I already have. So there's no reason to be overwhelmed by that. I hope this kind of was the answer that you were hoping for. If you wanted to have different information about needles and needle types, then please just let me know and I will try to address that in a future episode as well. So I guess that was everything for today. I really enjoyed coming back and chatting with you again, and I really hope that you liked this episode as well. And I hope I will see you sooner than last time, so maybe in 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks we will see. I try not to make this as strict anymore. So one of the future weekends I am invited to a wedding, so I will not be able to record then, but we will see. There will definitely be a new episode, and you know where to find me. Thank you so much if you have watched through this one, and I really enjoy spending time with you, and thank you so much for all the lovely comments that you always leave me. I'm not always able to respond to all of them, but I read each and every one of them, and I really love them. So thank you so much. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed it, and bye! See you next time!